these pioneers of prophetic religion, along with people like Dorothy Day of the Catholic social justice worker, made a search for the beloved community and the search for common ground. But I believe with my whole being, I believe based on my experiences in the Oakland flatlands, dealing with the last, the least, and the lowest, that no political party has a circle that includes the working class poor and the unemployed underclass. Both political parties have failed to invite the working class poor and the unemployed underclass to the table. They have failed to invite them to listen, to discuss, to debate, to dialogue on the methodology to actualize a more perfect union. This hegemonic arrogance is invisible of a poor Lazarus who sits outside of the gates of benevolent paternalism, waiting to receive crumbs of charity from the privileged who claim to be neo-Gnostics of the best. Lazarus, who sits outside of the gate, is the victim of subprime loans that lead to home foreclosures, that place minority home ownership at the ownership levels of the Great Depression. We thought that we were making progress. We thought that we were getting a piece of the American dream. But I tell you, it's not like that now. It's not like that because the economic determinism of Ricardo's iron law of wages destined the children of Lazarus and Mrs. Lazarus to study in underfunded, under-equipped, overcrowded, ill-suited, and ill-prepared teachers so that our children do not get college preparatory training that will enable them to study in the great universities. Those precious few who, with the dogged strength of W.E.B. Du Bois's talented 10th, and with faith in the God who makes a way out of no way, defy the odds of the social policy gatekeepers. They end up with a short-lived job when the job is outsourced to a poor two-thirds world country where the labor is cheap. And there is the new slavery of the prison industrial complex that practices punitive justice in lieu of restorative justice. Lazarus has seen his dwellings destroyed to make way for interstate pollution-producing freeways, office parks, malls, and parking lots, all in the name of urban renewal and progress. No, Katrina did the urban removal, just gatekeepers who were both Republicans and Democrats. These Republicans and Democrats Bless the middle class with subsidized FHA and VA loans and with interstate freeways for the blessed middle class to drive back and forth into the cities to work. The gatekeepers who exercise power without conscience or accountability curse the underclass offspring of Mr. and Mrs. Lazarus with tiny matchbox apartments or dilapidated public housing. And I want to know this morning why some are blessed by a system that works well for them. Why are some blessed with not having to disprove the negative stereotypes others have about them? Why do some still live as innocent recipients of privilege in a socially constructed Garden of Eden where public policy favors the self-interest of some at the expense of disinterest of unjust privilege for those who suffer disparities in health, in education, and economic opportunity? Well, and you ask, where are the leaders of these underserved communities? And I tell you that there are many like Cornel West and Barbara Lee of the Allen Temple Church and head of the Congressional Black Caucus, Al Sharpton, the late Fannie Lou Hamer. But these homegrown organic leaders do not have the microphone. But I'm blessed to have the microphone this morning, and I want to say thank you, Rabbi. And when they do get the microphone, much of their statements are often taken out of context. How sad it is when grassroots prophetic voices from Main Street are marginalized, and the President of the United States is eager to woo and win congressional leaders who speak to him with the duplicitous voice of Jacob, but their arms are the arms of Esau. Tom Wise, in his book, White Like Me, Reflections on Race from a Privileged Son, says, continuing to ignore the voices of the marginalized carries great risk for us all, because it is precisely such persons who so often view the world differently and far more accurately than the privileged. Because of our expenditures for wars and because of our greed, Americans at all levels feel the pain of our economic crisis. But we're not able to get the ear of President Obama on this. Some of us who prayed with his staff week after week, some of us that mobilized votes in the black community, now, since he's in office, are not able to get his ear like those on Wall Street. I have 2 minutes left, but will you pray with me that I can say everything that I need to say in the remaining 2 minutes? because I might not get back up here again. The New York Times February 6, 2010 article informs us that black unemployment rate is 90% higher than the white rate, that the Hispanic rate is 12.6% higher, but the real cumulative unemployment rate, which includes part-time workers and those who've given up on finding a job, is at 30%, but we can't get the Department of Labor to release those figures. We can't get the president's team to break the wall that they built around him so that the voices at the bottom can cry out like a trumpet. And now as I close, I want to say it's time for spiritual progressives to persuade and push President Obama to be the president that he promised to be. It's time for this group to light a fire under America. The social change activists, the intellectuals, the scientists, the secular humanists, the poets, to rise up and not yield to calm despair or skeptical realism. Spiritual progressives are not defeated by the apathy of helplessness or by the inertia of the status quo. It's time for us to move. It's time for us not to have a high blood count of creed and anemia of deed. It's time for us to bring about a change. The time is ours. Let's seize the moment.